There is a huge chasm between making a cake, filling and covering it, and cake decorating. Cake decorating is something that is big and involved and a hobby and requires a lot of tools and practice. Filling and covering a cake is just a task. It's just a job that you do. It doesn't need to be perfect. Buttercreams make the best cake fillings, and they come in many flavors, colors, and can be purchased pre-made. If your cake is domed or uneven, use a serrated knife to even it out. Place a dollop of icing on the center of a pretty plate or cake stand, and then press the first layer of the cake into the dollop of icing. It acts like glue. Scoop icing directly onto the cake, and with any spatula, spread it to the edges but not beyond. Place the next layer of cake on top of the icing and make sure that it is straight, side to side and on the top. Add more icing and repeat. Flip the last layer upside down so the baked edge is up. This makes the top of the cake flat and straight. Dollop a good amount of buttercream on the top of the stacked cake. With an offset 4.5-inch palette knife, push little bits of the icing over the edge and smooth them down toward the bottom of the cake. Pull little bits over the edge and down all the way around the circumference of the cake. Once the entire cake is roughly covered with icing, go back over the icing back and forth until you have pressed it into the cracks and crevices and covered all of the bare cake. You'll have way more icing on the cake than you will need. Wipe off the palette knife between each swipe, but start toward the bottom of the cake, holding the palette knife very lightly while you turn the cake. Each time you go around, you want to go up until you're toward the top of the cake. That's when you'll start pulling in the top edges. This does not need to be perfectly smooth, and the cake does not need to be perfectly straight. But every part of the cake should be covered with icing to seal in the moisture. At this point, your cake is safe for days. An all-American buttercream cake can be stored on the counter for up to 7 days. Cakes filled with fresh fruit or curds or creams should be refrigerated. Technically, there's nothing more that needs to be done. Any extra is just for beauty and it's optional. I hope you give it a try.